Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is Lucy Crone Elliott. I'm the president of the DC chapter and a member of the Latina track of Prospanica National, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's session, Leveraging AI to Build Your Executive Brand on LinkedIn. This session is all about helping you unlock the full potential of LinkedIn, from creating a compelling, polished profile to understanding how to navigate the platform strategically. You'll learn how to engage with content efficiently and build visibility that keeps you top of mind for potential employers. These are key tools as we prepare for the upcoming Prospanica National Conference. As a reminder, this year's national conference will be free and fully virtual, allowing you to join from anywhere and experience the incredible learning, networking, and career opportunities it offers. If you haven't registered yet, there's still time. Don't miss the opportunity to be a part of a powerful, purpose driven community and take part in sessions designed to elevate your career. We're excited to explore how AI can elevate your personal brand on LinkedIn and position you to stand out in today's competitive job market. With that, I'm honored to introduce our speaker for today, Alejandro Sanoja. Alejandro helps accomplished professionals confidently communicate their value to become recognized experts in their field. A top MBA graduate and recognized as one of the 6 personal branding experts to follow, he also teaches in the Bauer Executive MBA program and coaches investment professionals on presentation skills through the Cougar Investment Fund. I'm excited to hear all the practical insights Alejandro will be sharing with us today. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Alejandro.
Thank you, Lucy. I'm here because we've all been promised something that is no longer true. Unfortunately, the way careers are built has changed a lot through time. Um, this is how careers used to look in the past. We used to go to college, graduate from college, get a job at a company. We would clearly understand the things that we needed to do to progress at said company. We would get promotions, we would get mentorship, and we would probably work in the same company for our whole careers. We would get retirement party, and then we would leave happily forever after. But that has been changing. Suddenly, getting a undergrad degree was not enough. We needed a little bit more. So it changed from staircase that we could see to a ladder. We had to put a little bit more effort. It was a little bit more challenging, but it was still easy to understand. We needed to go to college, get a graduate degree, good grades, get experience, progress in our careers. But those promises are no longer there. This is how careers look nowadays. We graduate from college and then we enter this door that walks us into a whole different dimension. Now it's more challenging than ever to have a successful career, and especially now because of the AI disruption and what's going on. A lot of it is because of the change in the professional landscape. The supply and demand of the marketplace has changed a lot in the past 30, 40, 50, 60 years. In the 70s, about 8% of the population in the US, over 25, had a college degree. Then in the 2000s, it was about 27%. And the latest one, census in 2004, points out that about 38% of the adults above 25 in the US have a college degree. That's why they say that now graduate's degree have become the new undergraduate's degree, because, as I said, the supply and demand equation in the marketplace for building a successful career has changed. Again, the professional journey of the past used to be very happy. 2 steps: graduate, get a job, be good at said job, build a career. Now, very different. These are only a few of the steps. But now You have to get a degree at a good school, get good grades, make sure you have extracurriculars even before starting college. Then you get a graduate degree. You got to get experience. You got to learn how to promote yourself. You got to find a mentor, find a sponsor, find a champion. You're probably going to have to change companies. You might even have to change careers. There's an estimate that nowadays people are going to have to change not only companies, but careers, maybe 2 to 3 times. You're going to have to get certifications, reshape your whole professional toolkit. And I am no stranger to that situation. This was me starting my MBA journey. I had a promise of a country that was the number one country in the region in terms of per capita GDP. It was booming because of oil. Venezuela was called the Pearl of the Caribbean. And of course, that promise went away. I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on in Venezuela, but we've broken some of the worst records to break. We had more than a 30% GDP drop in one year. We had more than 1 million% inflation in one year. So just imagine we were struggling a bit in the last couple of years in the US with inflation that was getting close to double digit. Imagine what a 1 million% inflation would do to your life. And we've had the biggest refugee crisis in the history of the continent. So that pushed me to had to say realize that the promise of building a career in that country was no longer true. I came to the US and my plan was, well, I have no extracurriculars in my resume. I have no networks, no big logos. We're just going to focus. I'm going to get good grades, and that'll help me get a job after I finish this graduate degree. And because of different situations, if there are any immigrants in the audience, you'll know, especially nowadays, what's going on with the H-1B visa. So I had to build my own path. And one of the things that I learned at that time is that building your network is powerful and that leveraging LinkedIn is a must nowadays. Now, I'll share, of course, this is me after the program, what I've been able to build the business. I now teach at the Bauer Executive MBA program, and I am here to share with you everything I've learned about LinkedIn so that you can leverage it as well to propel your career to new heights. This is a little bit of what can be done on LinkedIn. These are a couple of examples of leaders that are influential in the Hispanic community and the Latino community and what they've been able to do by applying some of the things that we're going to share today about how to leverage AI on LinkedIn. So this is an account that has 4,000 followers and in one year was able to have 144,000 impressions and reach 40,000 members on LinkedIn. So 10x, a person with a network of 4,000 people reaching 40,000 people using the methods that I'm going to share with you. Now, some of you might be saying, well, what if I don't have 4,000 followers? What if I'm starting from zero or a very low number? And I was there as well. When I arrived in the US about 10 years ago, I only had 200 LinkedIn connections. Well, I have another example. Here's an account with 600 followers, just getting started. In a year, 21,000 impressions and almost 8,000 accounts reached. But what I'll share with you today can help anybody, whether you have been in the LinkedIn game for a while, you know your way around, you have quite a few connections, it's going to work for you. Even if you're getting started, it's also going to work for you. So we're going to talk about your LinkedIn AI strategy, how you can leverage AI on LinkedIn and put them together to take control of your career. We will go over 3 things. We're going to keep it simple. We could do probably I could do a whole semester of a course on how to leverage LinkedIn and AI, but we're going to keep it simple and actionable. So we're going to just cover 3 things. We're going to go over having a LinkedIn first mindset so that you can expand your network. We're going to go over your LinkedIn profile and how to optimize your probability of success by optimizing your profile. And then we're going to go over LinkedIn content to increase your area of luck. As we go through these 3 components that we're going to talk about today, keep in mind that I've organized them from low effort to high effort. So the first few things that I mentioned, those are going to be low lift. The content, I know it takes a little bit more work, but I have some key AI insights that are going to help you with that. First, I know you're probably like this lady on the left. You're thinking, wow, I already have a ton of challenges. Maybe you have a big family, you have hobbies. Maybe you're at school right now going through undergrad or graduate degree. You have your job, figuring out what's going on with AI, the economy, everything that's going on around us. And I'm going to give you more homework. So you're probably thinking, why should I do this? This is just more work for me. Why should I put in the work to improve my LinkedIn presence? Well, here are just a few stats. There are, out of all the users on LinkedIn, 234 million of those are in the US. And the household income of 50%, or more than 50% of the users, it's $100,000. So I guarantee that the hiring manager that you want to reach, the executives in the companies you want to work for, the recruiters, the HR people, if you have your own business, if you have a side hustle and you want to reach your ideal client profile, I guarantee that they are on LinkedIn. Now, if you look at the third stat, it says 17x. That is a profile views that someone with at least 5 or more skills listed in their profile get compared to someone who doesn't have the skills listed. And skills is just one of the components that we're going to be talking about today. So if you take the steps that we're going to share today, you're going to be able to leverage a very powerful tool. The LinkedIn first mindset. What does this mean? Well, it means that you should always be connecting. Not always be closing, always be connecting. Because that is the way to grow your connections. I remember when I arrived in the US, 200 connections, and I set up a goal. Hey, this is important, so I'm gonna start going to events. I'm gonna start going to conferences, and I'm gonna connect with at least 3 people every day. Now I have over 4,000 connections. It's very easy if you take these small steps. I guarantee that there are people at your current company that you know and you work with, and you're probably not connected with them on LinkedIn. I guarantee that there are friends in your friend group that you know professionally, you haven't connected with them on LinkedIn. People from your school, whether it is undergrad or grad school. LinkedIn makes it very easy. If you navigate to your network, the network icon on the top navigation bar of LinkedIn, you'll see that there's a section of people that you might know either from your region, from the company you work for, from the schools you attended. So leverage that. On top of that, we're here preparing for the Prospanica conference. So if you go to events like this, connect with the people, either the speakers, the organizers, or other attendees. Very simple, low lift thing to do that is very powerful. Same when you attend networking events, connect with people, make sure that you are expanding on a daily, on a weekly, or at least on a monthly basis, the people that you are connected with on LinkedIn. And we'll go over later why this is so powerful. Another key tip that I learned many years ago, when you connect to people, send a message to always remember the origin of that connection. It might be difficult if you're connecting with people, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 years from now, you need a connection in a certain company to connect with the hiring manager. You go and put that search on your search LinkedIn bar. Suddenly you see someone you're connected with that works at the company. You're about to send them a message and you don't remember where you met them. You don't want to make that awkward request. So if every time you connect with someone, you send a very simple message, something like, say you connect with me after the session, you can say something like, hey, Alejandro, thank you so much for coming to the pre-conference session and talking to us about how to leverage AI and LinkedIn to take control of your career. You send that message with a connection request. Then, if in 1, 2, 3, 4 years, you want to reconnect with me again, you can go to my profile, you click the message button, and that first message is always going to be there. So make sure you send that message. Something very simple. Where did you meet? What did you talk about? Something you remember about that situation. Put it there. I guarantee when you need it, you're going to remember this session. You're going to remember me. And you're going to think in your head, thank you, Alejandro. And the third one that I'm going to give you is there might be some of you in the audience who are thinking, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go all in. Maybe you have an obsessive personality like me, and you got to be careful to not send too many invitations or to not let too many invitations accumulate because, especially nowadays with AI, LinkedIn doesn't want people to be spamming on their platform. They are very careful to not let people use automations. So if you use automations or if you look like you're using automations, LinkedIn can ban you. And I know because I've been in LinkedIn jail and in LinkedIn prison. So what happens is if you say you go all in, you say, I'm going to start connecting with people, and every day you go all in and you send a bunch of invitations to people from your school, from work, from your network. If too many invitations accumulate, LinkedIn can think that you're spamming. So again, another very tactical, very important tip. If you start sending a lot of invitations, make sure that you go to your network tab, you click on the show all invitations, and there's a little button there that has the sent invitations. You can toggle from received invitations and sent. You want to make sure that if there's an invitation that has been there for too long, that you click on the withdrawal so that the invitations don't accumulate and you don't end up in LinkedIn jail or LinkedIn prison. If you're wondering about what happened, is that I was sending a lot of invitations. It seemed like automation, so LinkedIn banned me. Then it happened again, and then I was actually thrown out from the platform. Luckily, because I didn't use automation, I was able to get in touch with their team after several months. I was off the platform for several months. I was able to get back in because I proved that I didn't use automation. So just a warning, I don't want you to go through the thing I went through because not having LinkedIn would make it very difficult to take control of your career in the US. Make sure that you're not sending too many invitations in a row. And if you're sending quite a bit for a certain period of time, make sure you're withdrawing the ones that people are not accepting. Okay, so now we're going to go over the profile. And I'm going to share several things about how to optimize your profile. And I am sure that some of you in the audience might be thinking, I knew that. Or I've heard somebody else recommend that. Or I've done it in the past, I just haven't done it in a while. And the thing about optimizing your profile is that it's not rocket science. It's very easy. It's kind of like updating your resume. You know how to do it, you know how to use the STAR method, keep track of the important KPIs, but because it's so easy, we postpone it. It's kind of like doing the dishes. You have a little plate, you were eating maybe a sandwich. Because it's so easy, you just put it in the sink and leave it for later. And then you have a coffee, do the same thing. Then maybe you have another snack, some fruits, and then it starts accumulating. And at some point, you finally decide to do it. And when you finally decide to do it, the pile of dishes is so high that now you don't even want to do it. At that point, you look at the pile and you want to keep procrastinating because it's too big of a task. Something that could have been done in 2 minutes, 5 minutes or less, now becomes a whole ordeal. Maybe some of the food is sticky and requires a little bit of more elbow grease. But it's exactly the same with your LinkedIn profile. But what I would say to you is if you recognize some of the things I'm going to share with you, then I challenge you to do it right after the call, right after this webinar. Go on, open your LinkedIn and do a little bit, do at least one of these. So here's something again, this could be a whole presentation on your LinkedIn profile, but we're just going to do a few. The first two, profile and headline. That's very, very important because your profile and headline follow you everywhere. If you make a post, your photo and headline are going to be there. Say you're the people that don't post. Even if you like somebody's post, if you engage, if you make a comment, it's going to show there. It's your photo and your headline. So you got to make sure that those are good and help you hook people and get attention. Nowadays, it's even easier than ever to get a good photo. There are a lot of really good apps. If you just go on ChatGPT and Google, I'm not going to name any specifically, but if you go ChatGPT, you go to Google, you search AI headshot, you're going to find really good companies that for a lot less than a photographer, you're going to be able to get at least a decent photo. If you can get a photographer, even better. If your company does headshots once in a while, make sure you go to those sessions. If you are in school, sometimes the career centers of universities, I know the University of Houston, they do so. Sometimes they have on career day, if you arrive a little bit earlier, you can get some headshots. Please make sure you do so because this is very important. The second thing, we'll go over an AI prompt in a second that you can use, but make sure that you have a headline that talks about either the problem that you solve, the people that you work with, your unique skill set, the unique promise, something that hooks people so that they get interested enough to go and visit your profile. Something else that you can have on your headline are particular keywords. This is something that a lot of people that work at top companies do. If you've worked in Meta, if you've worked in Amazon, if you've worked in McKinsey, a lot of people put X Meta, X McKinsey, X Amazon on their profiles because they know that recruiters put those keywords when searching for candidates. So it's a little bit of a mix. Your headline is a little bit of a 30-second pitch with a little bit of an SEO and search optimization. So make sure that you're maximizing the utility of that. Now the banner, this when I teach usually workshops on how to maximize LinkedIn, the banner, I said that it's a billboard. It's usually for business owners or CEOs, and they have to generate revenue. So I tell them the banner should be a little bit of an expansion of your promise. If you're looking for a job, it might be promoting something that you've done. Maybe you've been to some podcasts. Maybe you have a blog that you've written on an analysis on your industry. It should be a call to action or anything particularly, ideally, that you have in your features section. And we'll talk about that in a second. So when I'm making this workshop for business owners, what I usually do is like talk about your lead magnet. Say, if you are a CPA and you have on your headline, I help business owners save at least, I don't know, $10,000 on their tax return. On your billboard, you can have something like download my spreadsheet that helps you calculate how much money you are missing. That's a great way to use that billboard. Again, if you're looking for a job, it might be something related to a unique project or a unique campaign, something that's a second step in getting to know you and your value. About section, very important. Tell your story. I cannot tell you how many times when I have a call with a prospect, they mention my story of being an immigrant. I have it on my LinkedIn, I have it on my website, I talk about it all the time. So this is something that helps me connect with people even before they get to know me. So the two things that you want to accomplish with your about section in your bio when you're telling your story is you want to demonstrate competence. So it's important, list your skills, your projects, your highlight reel, make sure that your biggest wins are listed there, and warmth. You want to be able to give some people a reason to connect with you. So talk about some things that make you unique. It could be your hobbies. It could be something about your story, what you've been through. In my case, being an immigrant, that resonates with a lot of the people that I end up working with because I work with people who are either Hispanic, underrepresented Hispanic leaders, or people who are helping the Hispanic community. Now, experience, I'm not going to go over this one that long because most of us know exactly what we need to do. We've been through Career services do this, career coaches and interview coaches. Very simple experience. It's very similar to your resume. Make sure that your logos are showing up. Make sure that you have at least a few bullet points in your experience. And if you're getting promoted, make sure to put that on LinkedIn because it looks really good when you've been on a company for several years and you've been promoted every 1 or 2 years. That tells a good story. Make sure to add it on LinkedIn. Now, the feature section. The feature section, it's an area where you can put links or blogs or anything you want on your profile. Make use of that feature section. If you're a business owner, I would tell you, hey, put a lead magnet there. In my case, I have an article, a guide that I have on crafting your personal branding statement, and I have a book a call link. In your case, if you're looking for a job, have you been interviewed in a podcast? Has any of your writing been featured in publications? Put it there. That's your highlight reel. Make sure that you are promoting yourself. On education, number 7, I'll say just make sure that you have the logos. It looks really good when a profile is clean. Sometimes people misspell their university or they just don't wait for the logo to pop up and hit enter and it looks a little bit empty. That one's very easy. Same with volunteering. If you're on a board, if you are part of a chapter in Prospanica, for example, if you're part of any other Hispanic organization, make sure that you add it. It's very easy and it's going to tell your story that you're someone who goes above and beyond. The last two I'll cluster together because they're very related, and I'm going to give you one of the best tips that I give to people that I usually work with and helping them with their LinkedIn presence. Skills, like we said, people who have 5 or more skills listed in their profile get 17x the views than those who don't. And this is very easy. So what you want to do is you want to list all your skills that you would want to have, you would want to be endorsed for. And then this is what you're going to do. It's a very simple campaign. You're going to write a message that says something like this. Hey, Alejandro, I'm working on improving my LinkedIn presence. Part of that is making sure that I have endorsement for my skills. Would you feel comfortable going to my profile and endorsing me for personal branding, analytics, and finance, for example? Put the 3, 4 things that you want to be endorsed for, and then at the end, you add this caveat that lets people off the hook and it doesn't seem pushy. I totally understand if you don't feel comfortable endorsing me for those skills. Thank you, and you sign your name. Now, that message worth a lot, that tactic. But this other one is even better. You send that message, and then you go into that person's profile and you endorse them for what you feel comfortable endorsing them. Very, very easy. If you put a goal of doing one of these per day, I guarantee that in no time, you're going to have a lot of endorsements for the skills that you want to be endorsed for. That's going to add a lot of robustness to your profile. Same with the recommendations. Recommendations that are even more powerful in the algorithm for showing up when people are searching for a professional like you. What you're going to do is, again, you're probably already guessing what I'm going to have you do because it's very similar than the skills. I want you to write a recommendation first. Go into someone's profile, someone you've worked with, someone you feel that you trust and you feel comfortable with, and write a recommendation for them. Ask them like, hey, I wrote this recommendation for you. Let me know if you want to edit something. Also, if you feel comfortable, it would be great if you can write a recommendation for me. Now, here's the trick. You can use AI for this. I'm going to show you a prompt, and then I'm going to show you even some of the best tips that we give to the people that we work with on teaching them how to use LinkedIn and AI to take control of their careers. Write the recommendation. Use ChatGPT if you want, and craft 2, 3 options of recommendations and send it to that person in the message. You send a recommendation. Hey, I wrote a recommendation. Let me know if you want any edits. Also, If you could write a recommendation for me, that would be awesome because I'm working on enhancing my LinkedIn presence. Here's a couple of examples of what would be a great recommendation for me. Feel free to copy, paste, and make some edits on some of those if you want. If you make it easy for people to just copy, paste, and make a few edits, your conversion rate from that ask is going to be much, much higher. In the past, we had to do the work of the writing. If you were not a good writer, that would take a lot of time. Now there's no excuse. It's kind of like doing the dishes example. In the past, we had to do it by hand. Now we have the dishwashers. It's the same. For the recommendations, you can just leverage AI, come up with like 2 to 3 good options, and send those for every person that you send a message. So again, these are just a few things. We could go even deeper into each one of those, but with what I gave you today, this should be enough to get your profile to start showing up first, or at least at the top on some of the searches when people are searching for a professional like you. In my case, for example, I've gotten clients, I've gotten speaking engagements, all because I've gotten invited to podcasts, all because of the ranking of my LinkedIn profile, the robustness, and the keywords that I have on my profile. Now, we're going to go into the AI prompt. This is the prompt that I would recommend you to use on ChatGPT. When asked, act as my LinkedIn personal branding consultant, what context, materials, and questions, this is key. Don't just ask for the task at first. Ask ChatGPT to ask you what ChatGPT needs to do a good job. What context, materials, and questions would you need to ask me to be able to help me craft a robust and unique LinkedIn profile to help me accomplish the goal of, and insert your goal, getting a job in this company, getting a job in this industry, transitioning, getting clients, anything is possible. Just put the goal there. And very important, say, we'll start with optimizing my profile. Because if not, it's just going to give you a huge amount of output on different tasks and things you can do. So that's the prompt. I'll share with you a lot more insights on how to get AI to do a really good job for you. Now, we've covered so far, we talked about the LinkedIn first mindset, connect with people so that you can expand your network. We've talked about your LinkedIn profile. It's very important so that you can rank, so that your profile is robust and we're searching for someone like you show up. This is the third one. This is a little bit of a higher lift, higher effort, but also the highest reward. Because we spend a lot of time connecting with people, going to events. You're going to go to the Prospanica conference. You're going to meet a lot of people. You network at your school. You go to networking events. You're doing a lot to expand your network. Maybe you're doing coffee chats. You're doing informational interviews. Now, all of those things are like planting the seeds of your professional garden. It takes a lot of work. You got to prepare the soil. You got to open up the little holes, plant the seed. It's a lot of work. But for that garden, your professional connections to grow, you have to take care of it and water it. There are some things that are heavier lifts. It's probably impossible for you to meet one-on-one with all of your professional connections in a year. There's only so many weeks, so many days, and we have a lot of responsibilities. This right here, content creation, is the easiest way to stay top of mind with your network. A lot of people don't do it because they think the only value is to go viral, to be one of the top influencers, and that is not true. The majority of the people on LinkedIn are consumers. The number is high in the 90%. Call it 90, 99% of the people on LinkedIn are consumers of content. And only 1%, or about 1%, are creators. So if you just start creating one post per week, you'll go to the side that has the majority of the power. And again, it's the easiest way to stay top of mind with your network. because you're going out, you're meeting people. Again, LinkedIn first mindset, always be connecting. You're always connecting. You have a great profile. You have a great photo, great headline. You cover all the tips that we did on the profile. Now it's very simple to just craft content with AI, and I'm going to show you how to stay top of mind so that when an opportunity matches you, it finds you. So step number one, after this webinar, I don't want any of you ever using just a chat on ChatGPT for something important. Create a project. I know I use mostly ChatGPT, but I used Claude for a while, and I think they have something similar. They call it something different than projects, and I'm sure it's the case in all the other ones because this is the best way to leverage this. And if you don't have the paid version, I would recommend to get it as soon as possible. And you want it to be personal. You don't want it to be part of your job because you want to be able to leverage that account and take it with you anywhere. Because as you work with it, it learns from you and you want to take it everywhere. It's just $20. I'm not sponsored by OpenAI. I have no relationship with them. I haven't invested in their stock, but I would recommend get a pro account. It's just $20 a month and it's worth it because you'll get a ton more out of it. So you have your account, you create a project, call it your name, and this will be your home base for anything related to your professional career. Then once you have the project, you can upload documents, you can train it. So make sure to upload all the content that you have that you can. Make sure that nothing that you're uploading it's under an NDA or something that you don't want out there. But anything that's public that you've written, if you've been published either on your website, on your company's website, on publications, put it there and train it on it. If you've been interviewed in podcasts, on TV, and the video is out there, put it there. Any videos that you've done, any projects, anything that has your fingerprints professionally that can let ChatGPT know a little bit about how you think and how you work and your voice, put it there. Another one, just like the other prompt, you can ask, hey, ChatGPT, what would you need to ask me to be able to craft content in my unique voice in a way that it stands out in your industry? It's going to ask you some questions. It's going to be a little bit of a heavier lift, like I said, but once you answer those questions, it's going to be very easy then to create unique content. And the third one, please never just copy and paste. This has been happening a lot. I see it on LinkedIn, and people can tell because after a while, after you've seen it for a while, you start to notice a pattern. ChatGPT has a way of writing either blogs or posts that is very unique. And even if you try to like with prompts, you can get around it, but there's nothing like taking the time to humanize the content. I'm sure you've seen, for example, the announcing or breaking news in hooks that always come up, or it's not really about this, it's about that. Those are some of the repeating phrases or closing with ultimately, and then kind of like a summary of the post. Again, maybe this is me because I use it so much that I notice it. I'm in the content world, but please never copy and paste for anything you do. Just make sure that you're editing and humanizing your content. And I'm going to give you a couple of prompts that can help you with that. So the first one is you ask for the post, it comes up with the post, and then ask, can you come up with 5 options of better hooks for this post? I guarantee that any of those 5 is going to be better than the original one. In case those 5 are not good, you can ask for 5 more. Same with the closing. Can you share 5 options of a better close and call to action for this post? Just by changing those 2 elements, that is 50% of the battle. Then if you can change a little bit of the content in the middle, awesome. But just with the hook and the call to action, you're definitely going to stand out. Again, We've talked a lot about how the landscape has changed professionally. Now it's harder than ever to build a successful career because of everything that you have to do. Get a graduate degree, get certifications, get sponsors. You might have to change jobs. You might have to change industries and careers. It's a lot of work. I've given you a tool. I've given you some insights on how to leverage LinkedIn to be able to go through these obstacles that we're facing nowadays. I know it's a lot of extra work in some cases, but it is worth it. And it is an important tool that can help you cut through some of these obstacles. This right here is a Latino experience at work. Even though, for example, in some cities, we're reaching 50% of the population, that is the case here in Houston, we soon are going to be the biggest minority. Um, Only 5% of us sit on boards in C suites, and only 1% of those are held by Latina women. 44% feel are exposed to blatant discrimination at work, 43 are overlooked because of race, and 89% feel overlooked because of their accent. These are obstacles out there that are outside of our control. There's not a lot we can do about this, but there's a lot that we can focus on that we can actually do to overcome these obstacles. And I've given you a tool that has helped me, has helped the people that I work with, coach, the executive that I work with that are doing great things for the Hispanic community, being able to get their voices heard by leveraging the insights that I shared with you today. So please pick at least one of the things, even if it's just always be connecting, even if that's the thing you remember, that's going to put you in a much better position in the future to take control of your career. This is me again. I'm Alejandro Sanoja. This is my email. You might need it if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. I would encourage everybody here, connect with me. I'm always happy to, if you have questions about the prompts, if you have any questions about anything that we shared today and you want to go a little bit deeper, I always encourage people connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always there and I'll be able to chat with you. Thank you for your trust. I look forward to some of the questions that you might have. If not, feel free to share them on LinkedIn. And remember, this is going to be key for you to maximize the upcoming conference that Prospanica has set up for you so that you can rock it and build the career of your dreams.
Thank you so much, Alejandro. That was a really fantastic presentation and some really great tips on how to make the most of our LinkedIn. I think I know what I'm going to be doing after this call is done. So thank you very much for that. Now I'd like to open the floor to our audience for any questions that they might have for Alejandro. So please feel free, drop your questions in the chat, and we will pass them on to Alejandro. To get started, I think the first question is, are there any new features that people aren't using enough?
New features. I think for sure the features section, they're rolling even for if you have a premium account, I think now you can have kind of like a carousel on your banners and you can have several banners. There's always new features, but I think it always goes back to the principles. If you just take care of the basic things, I think you'll be in a good position. Then after that, I would say if you want to maximize the features, the features section, it's really good. I tell a lot of people that nowadays, if you have a very robust LinkedIn profile, you probably don't need a personal website for a while until it's actually an absolute need. Because you can do a lot. You can blog on the profile. You can have a newsletter on the profile. So yeah, there's a lot coming out, but I would say with the fun, if you do the fundamentals, you'll be in a great position to succeed on LinkedIn.
That's great. Yeah, and I really liked how during the presentation you went through a lot of the different sections and some key ideas for that. So that was super helpful. Are there certain posts that tend to get more engagement on LinkedIn? You mentioned the idea of blogging or different things like that. What's most helpful? What about even like reposting different things?
So with the reposting, the key is to always add your take. It's very important. Most people are not going to engage if you just repost something. Personal accounts always have a ton more engagement than corporate accounts. So if there's anybody here that is going to do this work for their company or is going to go with recommendations on how to do it for their company, I always recommend post from a person. Have the CEO, an executive, someone that has a lot of influence and connections, post from their account and then repost from the company website. Another thing that I recommend a lot of the people that I work with and the teams that we train is you can get a little bit fatigued doing this, but for important posts, you want to stack the deck in your favor. So what you can do, if you have an important post, you're promoting something that is key for the company, communicate it to everybody on the team and make sure that you tell them like, hey, on Thursday this week at 2 p.m., we're going to have a very important post about a campaign that we're running. I work with a lot of nonprofits in the educational space for more trilingual learners. There's a lot that has been going on in the government on that end. Um, so when it's something important, people are more than willing to do it. So let everybody know Thursday at 2 p.m. And then once the post is out, you can actually get the link of the post. So get the link on the post, share it on your Slack channel, on your Teams channel, and have everybody repost it. If you do it in the first 15 minutes, you have no idea the impact that you can have just by a post that is important. Having 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 reposts, people pay attention right away because that signals that hey, this is important. That's a great way to get a post to have an abnormal or an outlier amount of reach. And then the other one is personal stories. This one is a little bit more difficult because not everybody's comfortable sharing and being vulnerable on the platform. There's definitely people doing it the wrong way. I think everybody was aware of the crying CEO post that went a little bit viral. So that requires a little bit more of knowledge and tact and storytelling on how to do it. But the first one, stacking the deck in your favor, communicating with the team, and sharing the link when it comes out, that one alone is going to help you maximize reach.
That's super helpful. And then sort of related to that, does the time of day you post like really matter? Like, is there more engagement in the morning or at the end of the day or during the workday?
There's two camps on this timing question right now on LinkedIn. I think if you look at the data, any whether it's HubSpot or Sprout Social, any of the big companies that advocate for social media use, usually they'll release a report. And most of the time, it's usually around 9 a.m. to 2 to 3 p.m. That's kind of like the best window usually. What I tell people is you want to sporadically, like maybe you post on a Monday at 9, on a Tuesday at 10, on a Wednesday at 11, right? And then next week, maybe you flip it. Maybe the Monday is at 2 p.m. and then you go kind of like down just so that you're sure you're reaching everybody. That's the way I recommend normally. But on the other hand, I've seen a lot of, if you look at the top influencers right now, ranked by Fabicon, Justin Welsh is the number one influencer right now on LinkedIn, and he advocates for posting at the same time every day and letting people know I post every day at this time. And the reason
Interesting.
is so that people can engage with you on a consistent basis because you're basically incentivizing people to make sure that at the time that you post, they go and comment. If you're a big account, if you have a lot of reach, it's an incentive for people to go and comment and make a good comment on your post because then they're going to be seen by a lot of people. So that's kind of like
Interesting.
where there's a big divide now, kind of like between 9 and 3 p.m. sporadically change it so that you're reaching the majority of your audience in your time zone. Um, if you're a company that I don't know has clients all over the world, of course, you if you don't have like a Europe account and an Asia account, you might want to just like every once in a while do posts at night. But also there's benefits of posting the same day at the same time. If you have a
Right.
big account and your audience is trained to engage with you, then you might want to do it at the same time.
Interesting. And sort of related to that, Mauricio Machado was asking a question, is there a recommended content cadence?
It would depend on the person and the capacity. I don't want to recommend anything specific because if I say once per week, people might think, well, that's too little. I'm already doing more. Or if I say twice per day, every day, some people might be overwhelmed. So I think it depends on where you are on your LinkedIn content journey. If you've been at it for a while and you feel comfortable, then definitely try to post at least once per day and make sure that you are changing between how to and educational content, maybe some warmth and personal content to connect with people and little promotional content. I would say it's always a good rule of thumb of doing like 80-20 or 90-10, mostly giving, 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 and then asking every once in a while. Um, the personal stories, like if you want a good framework, you should always be asking yourself, is this post going to help me show competence or is this post going to help me show warmth? If it's doing both
Interesting.
at the same time, even better. But I would say it depends on where you are in your journey. Um, I'd recommend people to start with once a week. Those some of the examples that I shared at the beginning of the data is from one or two posts a week, and you saw how with a 4,000 connections account you can reach 40,000 people. Of course, if you do more, it's going to be better, but then it depends on kind of like what are the other things that you can be doing to expand your influence. I wouldn't want a CEO, for example, all the time on LinkedIn if they have opportunities to go on a podcast, for example. So it really depends. I would have to see everyone's particular situation, but I would
Right.
say just push yourself a little bit more of what you're currently doing. It's always a good option.
Yeah. No, this is great. We've had a couple of questions here from Abigail and Cynthia asking if you're referring to ChatGPT Pro or if there's another favorite AI tool or one that's your go-to.
My go-to is ChatGPT. I use Claude AI sometimes for writing because the writing is a little bit better in some cases, but ChatGPT is so robust and now I've used it for so long that I have kind of like sunk cost bias. But what I was referring to ChatGPT Pro, I believe it's like $20 a month. I know they have the $200 a month now. I wouldn't recommend that for anybody unless you have a business and you can get ROI from it. But the $20 a month for sure is a no-brainer with the amount of things you can do with it. I use it for healing injuries, for helping with like organizing trips. It's incredible what it can do.
Excellent. Another question that also from Cynthia Vasquez is for banners and carousels, sometimes they're a heavy lift. Are there any tools that you recommend to expeditiously create banners or carousels?
Oh, for sure. I would pair asking ChatGPT for recommendations. ChatGPT is not yet great at designing. It's getting better and better, but it's not great. I would ask GPT, again, you have your project, you've been working on it, ask, hey, give me some ideas of what I should have on a banner. And then go to Canva. That's another one that for me, it's a no brainer to have I think the pro account is either $10 a month or something like that. And they now have templates for everything. In the executive MBA to my students, I'll tell them don't ever build a presentation from scratch again. Go to Canva, look for a template. There's an incredible amount of templates already there that you can pick and choose. I like this slide from this one and this slide from this one. It's the same with the LinkedIn banners. If you go to Canva, you'll start navigating. You can search the LinkedIn banner, and it's going to give you almost an unlimited amount of options from like
Oh, wow.
very minimalistic designs to very crazy and creative. You name it. It's very easy nowadays to just go to Canva and get a banner. If you
Great.
want, that would be kind of like the lowest lift up, like the do-it-yourself. You don't spend a lot of money. And you can also go to Fiverr or Upwork and find someone there. I'm sure there's like a cheap option. And third would be go search on Google ChatGPT for a personal branding agency, and of course they'll be able to help you with that. So those are kind of like the three levels: do it yourself, done with you, and done for you.
Yeah, those are great tips. So another question is earlier this week, as part of our series, we had a session on writing resumes. And we all learned a lot about ways to improve our resume. You touched on a little bit the experience section in LinkedIn. How much should that parallel our resumes? How in depth do you suggest that folks try to make that? I've heard that you come sometimes put everything on your resume on there, and then other ones are like, well, how much do you really want to put there and things like that?
You probably don't want to put a lot because then people are not going to read it. And you want to put enough because I know that career coaches and interview coaches recommend to tailor the resume to the job. So you probably have for every job, you probably have, I don't know, or you should, if you're following the advice that the coaches are giving you probably have 10 to 20 bullet points for every job. And you're not
Right.
going to be able to put all of them. You put the relevant ones. So I would say on LinkedIn, put your biggest hits, your greatest hits on each job. Don't put a lot because most people are not really going to go through it. You want to have the bullet points that are conversation starters that are going to say, wow, if I'm having an informational interview, if I'm meeting with this person, I want to ask about this.
That's great. Super helpful. Sergio Waldeck asked a question, and I think this one is an interesting one, is the president of one of our chapters as well. But he was asking, he said that you've got a lot of ideas for our personal profiles, but what about for like our Prospanica chapter LinkedIn sites, or, if somebody else is managing a site for a group of which they're a part of?
For company pages, there is, I don't want to, her name is Michelle, and she is the queen of company pages. She is from Australia. Okay, Michelle J. Raymond. She's a LinkedIn trainer for B2B growth, and she is the top expert on company pages on LinkedIn. She will definitely have the best content on this. We had her on our podcast and had a great conversation with her many years ago. But what I would say is you want to make sure that you give the company a voice. If what you're doing with the company page is just reposting and not really engaging, it's not going to have engagement. You want to have the company have a voice, have someone take over it. Yes, make sure to post. For example, you want to promote the upcoming webinars, you want to promote the conference, but every once in a while, have someone give the freedom to someone to engage on behalf of the company on other posts. Make
Right.
the company part of the conversation on other posts, engage, repost. If you want to build alliances with other companies, other organizations, engage with their posts from the company page, repost their content because it gives you a little bit of a social capital. Um, but d- definitely anything I have to say is not going to be near close
Yeah.
to what Michelle can do, and she has a ton of content right there on LinkedIn that you can consume
Yeah.
for free.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. And just the last question before we wrap up is on the photos, there's that option where you could put open to work or hiring or different things like that, that little circle. Is that helpful? I know a lot of folks are job searching in this environment. Is that helpful, harmful? What's your take on that?
I That one is a little bit divisive, kind of like the what time to post type situation. There's a lot of people that say that even if you're working, it's kind of like showing blood in the water and the sharks, right? Like you don't want to do it because it might show a little bit of weakness. On some other cases, it's great because like everybody, depending on the people that you have in your network and how much social capital, if you put it, then everybody's going to jump in and share. Um, on the same vein, I've seen some people do really great posts when they're searching, and others not so much. So
Right.
a lot of people do it on the way, like, "Hey, I'm open for work. Here's what I'm looking for," and other people tell a great story, and the posts
Right.
sometimes even go viral because you always want to make sure that other people see themselves in your post. So
Right.
if you are open to work, instead of doing a post about how sad or difficult your situation is because you've been let go, make it about how unfair it is sometimes that these things happen. Make it about how challenging it is at the middle of your career to be in the situation, because a lot of other people have been in that situation and they're going to see themselves in that post. So always think
Yeah.
about that. How relatable is it, and how much are other people going to see themselves in my story and in my post, and they're going to feel it, because then that's the one that leads to a lot of people reposting it. And I've seen it where somebody was out of a job, they did a great post, everybody reshared it, and suddenly they have more opportunities and more jobs
Yeah,
than
it's
they can
great.
do.
It's a
Yeah.
great perspective. This is awesome. Well, we are right at the end of our session today. So I just really want to thank everybody for all these great questions. And we hope that everybody found tonight's conversation to give you some actionable ideas to enhance your LinkedIn profile, to help really boost the connections with the people in your network, and as well as this Prospanica National Conference. And if you haven't registered yet, now is the perfect time. The links are available on the screen there. And the learning doesn't stop here. Our next webinar is going to be interviewing like a pro. That's going to be next week on October 14th, and you'll get some practical tips to how to approach your interviews with clarity and confidence. So you can kind of see how this is all progressing. We're also excited to continue our series of pre-conference webinars as we count down to the virtual national conference on October 23rd and 24th. So please mark your calendars so you don't miss this chance to connect, grow, and lead with fellow professionals from across the country. So we thank you again for being with us today. We thank you, Alejandro, for all of your wisdom and guidance. I think there's so many actions that we can all take here. So we look forward to seeing you at our next session and hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Thanks.